Hello. So here, let's take a look at a limit. Let's evaluate the limit as x approaches 0 of the cosine of 2x minus cosine of 3x, all divided by x squared. So what happens if we go ahead and put in 0 in for x and try to just evaluate this directly? Well, we have cosine of 2 times 0, so we get cosine of 0. Now, cosine of 0, that is actually going to be 1. And then we get minus, well, cosine of 3 times 0, again, that's cosine of 3 times 0 is 0. So cosine of 0, again, is 1. So we have cosine of 0 minus cosine of 0. So we have 1 minus 1 over, plugging in 0 in the bottom, we have 0 squared. 0 squared is 0, so we get 1 minus 1. Cosine of 0 is 1. That's 1 minus 1 is 0, divided by 0. So we have 0 over 0, the indeterminate form. And we can go ahead and use L'Hopital's rule on. So if we have an indeterminate form of the flavor, 0 over 0, we can go ahead and use L'Hopital's, which says we can look at the original limit and just go ahead and take the derivative of the top over the derivative of the bottom. No quotient rule, just taking the derivative of the top and then divide that by the derivative of the bottom and then see what we get. And then we can take the limit again after we apply L'Hopital's rule. So taking the derivative of the top, well, we can take the derivative here piece by piece. So the derivative of cosine of 2x, well, right there, cosine of 2x, we have to go ahead and use the chain rule. We don't just have cosine of x. So we can think of that as cosine of BLOP. So the derivative of cosine, the derivative of cosine is actually negative sine. So the derivative of cosine of BLOP is going to be, well, negative sine of whatever the BLOP is, so negative sine of 2x, but then times the derivative of the BLOP, of the inside piece. So the derivative of 2x is just 2. So times a 2, we get minus 2 times sine of 2x. And then taking the derivative of cosine of 3x, well, the derivative of cosine of 3x, again, is negative sine of 3x, but then times the derivative of 3x, which is just 3. So we get minus negative sine, or negative 3 sine of 3x. So the minus a negative is going to give us plus 3 sine of 3x, and that's going to then be divided by the derivative of the bottom. So the derivative of x squared is just going to be 2x, and we can go ahead and apply the limit again. So the limit as x approaches 0 now of this thing, well, plugging in 0, we get negative 2 times sine of 2 times 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So, and sine of 0 is 0, so we get negative 2 times 0, and then plus 3 times sine of, again, 3 times 0 is 0. Sine of 0 is 0, so plus 3 times 0, well, that's going to be just 0 plus 0, which is 0 on the top, and then plugging in 0 in the bottom. 2 times 0 is 0, so we get, again, we just get 0 over 0. We can go ahead and do it again, and going ahead and applying L'Hopital's again now to this piece right here. And let's see what happens. Well, okay, we get the derivative of the top. So the derivative of sine of BLOP, again, is going to be cosine of BLOP now, but then times the derivative of the BLOP. The BLOP is now 2x. So we get, and the constant can be out front, so we get negative 2 times, well, cosine of 2x times 2 is going to give us negative 4, right? Negative 2 times 2, negative 4, and then cosine of the BLOP, so the BLOP is 2x, all right? And that's the derivative of negative 2 sine of 2x, and then plus taking the derivative now of 3 sine of 3x. So sine of 3x, that's sine of BLOP. The derivative is cosine of BLOP, so cosine of 3x, but then times the 3. So we get 3 times 3 is 9. So we get plus 9 cosine of the BLOP. So cosine of 3x, and that is going to be all divided by the derivative of the bottom. Well, the derivative of 2x with respect to x is just going to be 2. So this is going to be now divided by 2. And then taking the limit as x approaches 0 again. Well, now there's no more x's in the bottom. So what happens if we plug in 0 on top? Well, we get cosine of 2 times 0. So we get negative 4 times cosine of 2 times 0. 2 times 0, 2 times 0, which is just, so that's cosine of 0, and then plus 9 times cosine of 3x, so cosine of 3 times 0, all divided just by 2. So what's the top happens? Well, we got cosine of 2 times just cosine of 0, which is 1. This is going to be negative 4 times cosine of 0. So negative 4 times 1 plus 9 times cosine again. Cosine of 0 is 1. So plus 9 times 1. And that's going to be over 2. So what do we have? We have negative 4 plus 9 over 2. Negative 4 times 1. So negative 4 plus 9 over 2. Negative 4 plus 9, that's 9 minus 4, which is 5. So 5 over 2. So therefore, the limit here, the limit is going to be equal to 5 tooths. 5 tooths, or as most people say, 5 halves. All right, calculator, take care.